Letter to Mahatma Gandhi, dated July 12th, 1947, location Cawnpore. Mahatma Gandhi Ji, Bangi Colony, New Delhi. Dear friend Mahatma Ji, please accept my respectful namaskar. I am your unknown friend, but I had to write to you at times and again, although you never cared to reply them. I sent you my papers back to Godhead, but your secretaries told me that you have very little time to read the letters, and much less for reading the magazines. I asked for an interview with you, but your busy secretaries never cared to reply this. Anyway, as I am your very old friend, although unknown to you, I am again writing to you in order to bring you to the rightful position deserved by you. As a sincere friend, I must not deviate from my duty towards a friend like your good self. I tell you as a sincere friend that you must immediately retire from active politics if you do not desire to die an inglorious death. You have 125 years to live, as you have desired to live. But if you die an inglorious death, it is no worth. The honour and prestige that you have obtained during the course of your present lifetime were not possible to be obtained by anyone else within the living memory. But you must know that all these honours and prestiges were false, inasmuch as they were created by the illusory energy of Godhead called the Maya. By this falsity, I do not mean to say that your so many friends were false to you, nor you were false to them. By this falsity, I mean illusion, or in other words, the false friendship and honours obtained thereby were but creation of Maya, and therefore they are always temporary or false, as you may call it. But none of you, neither your friends nor yourself, knew this truth. Now, by the grace of God, that illusion is going to be cleared, and thus your faithful friends like Acharya Kripalini and others are accusing you for your inability at the present moment to give them any practical program of work as you happen to give them during your glorious days of non-cooperation movement. So you are also in a plight to find out a proper solution for the present political tangle created by your opponents. You should therefore take a note of warning from your insignificant friend like me, that unless you retire timely from politics and engage yourself cent% in the preaching work of Bhagavad Gita, which is the real function of the Mahatmas, you shall have to meet with such inglorious deaths as Mussolini, Hitler's, Tojos, Churchill's, or Lloyd George's met with. You can very easily understand as to how some of your political enemies in the garb of friends, both Indian and English, have deliberately cheated you and have broken your heart by doing the same mischief for which you have struggled so hard for so many years. You wanted chiefly Hindu-Muslim unity in India, but they have tactfully managed to undo your work by creation of the Pakistan and India separately. You wanted freedom for India, but they have given permanent dependence of India. You wanted to do something for the upliftment of the position of the Bangis, but they are still rotting as Bangis, even though you are living in the Bangi colony. They are all therefore illusions, and when these things will be presented to you as they are, you must consider them as God sent. God has favoured you by dissipating the illusion you were hovering in, and by the same illusion you were nursing those ideas as truth. You must know that you are in the relative world, which is called by the sages as Dvaita, that is, dual, and nothing is absolute here. Your ahimsa is always followed by himsa, as the light is followed by darkness, or the father is followed by the son. Nothing is absolute truth in this dual world. You did not know this, neither you ever cared to know this from the right sources, and therefore all your attempts to create unity were followed by disunity and ahimsa. Ahimsa was followed by himsa. But it is better late than never. You must know now something about the absolute truth. The truth with which you have been experimenting so long is relative. The relative truths are creations of the Devi Maya, qualified by the three modes of nature. They are all insurmountable, as is explained in the Bhagavad Gita 7:14. The absolute truth is the absolute Godhead. In the Katha Upanishad, it is ordered that one must approach the bona fide Guru, who is not only well versed in all the scriptures of the world, but is also the realized soul in Brahman, the Absolute, in order to learn the science of absolute truth. So also it is instructed in the Bhagavad Gita as follows. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti tad jnanam jnaninas tatvadarshinaha. Bhagavad Gita 4:34. But I know that you never underwent such transcendental training except some severe penances which you invented for your purpose, as you have invented so many things in the course of experimenting with the relative truths. You might have easily avoided them if you had approached the Guru as above mentioned, but your sincere efforts to attain some godly qualities by austerities, etc., surely have raised you to some higher position which you can better utilize for the purpose of the absolute truth. If you, however, remain satisfied with such temporary position only, and do not try to know the absolute truth, then surely you are to fall down from the artificially exalted position under the laws of nature. But if you really want to approach the absolute truth and want to do some real good to the people in general all over the world, which shall include your ideas of unity, peace and non-violence, then you must give up the rotten politics immediately and rise up for the preaching work of the philosophy and religion of Bhagavad Gita without offering unnecessary and dogmatic interpretations on them. I had occasionally discussed this subject in my paper Back to Godhead, and a leaf from the same is enclosed herewith for your reference. I would only request you to retire from politics at least for a month only, and let us have discussion on the Bhagavad Gita. I am sure thereby that you shall get a new light from the result of such discussions, not only for your benefit, but for the benefit of the world at large, as I know that you are sincere, honest, and moralist. Awaiting your early reply with interest. Yours sincerely, Abhay Charande. Enclosure, one leaf from Back to Godhead. Letter to Raj Mohendra Pratap, dated July 13th, 1947, location Cawnpore. Raj Mohendra Pratap, World Federation, Prem Moha Vidyalaya, Post Office, Vrindavan. Dear Raj Sahib, in continuation of my last postcard, I beg to inform you that I have finished the reading of your book, Religion of Love. In my opinion, the whole thesis is based on the philosophy of pantheism, and the approach is made by the services of mankind. Religion of love is the true religious idea, but if the approach is made through the service of mankind only, then the process is made imperfect, partial, and unscientific. As you say, the waves of the creations are the different aspects. Why a particular type of waves, namely the mankind, should be partially selected and offered services, and why other types of waves, such as the beasts or birds, the plants and the stone, shall not be offered a similar type of services? In that case, how can you say that the worship of a stone is sinful, while a man who is more than a stone shall be considered as the object of love? These are some of the questions that arise out of a critical study of your book. If you so desire, I can enter into discussions about it, and my opinion is that your approach is partial and unscientific. There is no hesitation to accept the principle of the religion of love, because the absolute truth is, as we have known, Godhead, who is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Without Ananda, there cannot be any love. That is an accepted fact. Your delineation of society, friendship, and love among the human beings is based on this Ananda portion only, but you have avoided the other portions of eternity and cognition of God, the whole soul. Thus, the approach is partial and unscientific. The true religion of love is perfectly inculcated in the Bhagavad Gita. When we speak of love, there must be the object of love and the lover too. Here in this world, we find that the object of love and the lover both are the cheater and the cheated in their reciprocal dealings. That is our experience. But the ultimate end being one whole soul, the dual existence of the object of lover and the loved loses identity. In that case, the eternity and cognizability of the loved and lover vanish at once. In this way, there arises many questions which may be put forward to you for further discussions to adjust your ideas of religion. Besides, you have not quoted any authority for all your statements, so it is more or less dogmatic. If different men put different dogmatic views about religion and its essentials, who is to be accepted and who is not be? Therefore, the approach shall be and must be authoritative, scientific, and universal. Your delineations do not conform to all these necessary things. That is my main contention. If you have time to discuss on it, I shall be glad to substantiate my contentions as far as possible. My basis of arguments will be Bhagavad Gita, which is the most authoritative, scientific, and universal. To summarize the conclusions of Bhagavad Gita, it may be said that 1. God is one, and everything is in him, and he is in everything. 2. To render transcendental service unto God is to serve everything that be, just like to water the root of the tree is to water the different branches and numerous leaves of the tree, or to supply food to the stomach is to vitalize all the senses and the sense organs of the body. 3. The parts are automatically served when the whole is served, but when the parts are served, the whole may not be served or not served at all. 4. The parts and the whole being eternally related, it is the eternal duty of the parts to render service unto the whole. 5. A recipient of the services of the parts, God's Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, that is, the all-attractive, cognizant, and all-blissful personality eternal. He can reveal himself by his own potency without any help of the external potency called Maya, in order to be cognizable by the limited potency of the parts, and as such he is not only the greatest of all, but he is the smallest of all. That is his prerogative. 6. He is better realized when he by his causeless mercy, agrees to descend in this mortal world, but he is never realized by the partial speculations of the empiric philosophers, however systematic and long-termed it may be. 7. Sri Krishna is the personality of Godhead and is the summum bonum cause of all causes, proved by fact and figures in the statement of Bhagavad Gita. But he reserves the right of not being exposed to the sensual speculations of the empiric philosophers. 8. One should therefore surrender unto him if one wants to know him as he is, and that is the real process to approach the infinite by the infinitesimals. 9. Sri Krishna is easily available by the religion of love, that is, by love and service as conceived by the damsels of Raj, who had practically no education whatsoever and much less any claim for high-class birthright. 10. The highest service that can be rendered to the mankind is, therefore, to preach the philosophy and religion of Bhagavad Gita for all the times, all the places, and all the people. I hope you may agree with me and thus make a combined effort in this direction for the benefit of the mankind. Yours sincerely, Abhay Charande. Letter to Aska Distillery, dated October 21st, 1947. Location, Calcutta. The Proprietor, Aska Distillery, Aska. Dear Sir, we have decided to open a branch manufactory of our above laboratory in a suitable locality of Berhampore. We are arranging to approach the local excise authorities to grant us permit for possessing and using rectified spirit for medicinal purposes. But before we do anything, finally, as would like to inquire from your good self whether it is possible to get sufficient quantity of rectified spirit from your distillery. The bearer of this letter is a messenger on our behalf, and we shall be thankful if you will kindly let us know the following points per bearer. 1. Whether rectified spirit is obtainable from you at the rate of 100 gallons per month. 2. Whether you distill rectified spirit throughout the whole year. 3. Your usual strength of rectified spirit. Yours faithfully, for Vimoltone Laboratories Limited, Abhay Charande, Director-in-Chief. Letter to Sardar Patel, dated February 28, 1949. Location, Calcutta. Honorary Sardar Dr. Vallabhbhaiji Patel, Deputy Prime Minister, Government of India, New Delhi. Revered Sir, may your honour accept my humble namaskar. Your honour is well known as the Iron Man of India, but I know that you, the most practical man who can take things as they are. With this idea in view, I venture to approach your honour for submitting the following few lines for your consideration and necessary action. Funds are being collected to commemorate Mahatma Gandhiji in a fitting manner, and I beg to suggest that the same may be done in the Gandhian way and not otherwise. Gandhiji's whole life was dedicated to the service of humanity at large, with special interest for raising the moral standard. His later activities showed that he was equal to everyone, and all the people of the world knew him more as the spiritual leader than a mere politician. Devotion to Godhead was his ultimate aim, and when I say that his sacred memory should be perpetuated not in the ordinary way, but in the Gandhian way, I mean that fitting respect to his memory will be done in the following manner. 1. In the midst of his multifarious duties, Gandhiji never missed to attend to his Ramdhan Kirtan meeting. This is one of the soundest method for the culture of devotion to God. In the opinion of Srimad Bhagavatam, one who is imbibed with the devotion of Godhead is also endowed with all the good qualities of the gods. But one who is not a devotee of Godhead has not any value for his good qualities, because he utilizes his so-called good qualities for ulterior purposes. As such, the easy way to raise the moral standard of people in general is to make this Sankirtan movement more popular all over the world by philosophical discourses based on reasoning and moral and ethical codes. The Vaishnavacharyas, especially Lord Chaitanya and his 6 Goswami disciples, give us ample opportunity and scope for this work. Lord Chaitanya first inaugurated the Sankirtan or Ramdhan movement, and the later Goswamis supported it by scholarly philosophical synthesis. The 6 Sandarbhas by Srila Jiva Goswami are marvelous in this respect. 2. The second item is to take up the temple entry or temple worship movement. This is, in the real sense, a theistic cultural movement, and the facility or opportunity shall be open to everyone whatsoever he may be. All the past acharyas accepted everyone who desires to offer his respect to God, inspired by transcendental love and devotion. We can support this movement of Gandhiji on the authority of Shastras. There are thousands and lakhs of temples all over India, but they are not always properly managed. Some of them have become the positive dens for undesirable activities, and most of the owners or trustees of such temples do not know how to utilize these sacred buildings. Neither modernized gentlemen have any interest for these neglected theistic institutions. Originally, the aim of these temples was to diffuse spiritual culture in every quarter. These temples or theistic institutions should therefore be reorganized as the center of spiritual culture according to authentic principles as laid down in the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita. 3. The third item is to take up the Harijan movement. This movement is, in the real sense, a spiritual initiation movement, and this should be organized in such a manner that people all over the world may take interest in it. The Harijan is a word which shall not be used neglectfully as it is done now, but attempt should be made to make everybody a Harijan. Harijan means the recognized man of Hari, the personality of Godhead, and thus he, the Harijan, is as important a man as the knight of the king. So Harijan movement should be strengthened more scientifically to turn every person who is now Mayajan into a Harijan. The Mayajan is a word which is applicable to a person who is ordinarily engaged in the service of materialistic pursuits, whereas the Harijan is the person whose main business is to attain perfection of human life, as Mahatma Gandhi did, by spiritualistic realization. This movement should therefore be conducted under strict disciplinary methods as prescribed by the Mahajan or the Harijan of accredited merit. In such a movement, we shall have full cooperation of the Sadhu community in India. 4. The fourth item is to organize the much discussed caste system as a solution of natural division of the human beings all over the world. Nationalistic division of human races is artificial, but scientific division of the caste system as envisaged in the Bhagavad Gita is natural. We shall have to pick up Brahmanas and others, not only from the Indian people, but from the peoples of all over the world. The vitiated caste system of present India is never sanctioned by the scriptures. But the caste system is made by God according to quality and work of the subject, and it was never designed for the benefit of accidental birthright. Thus, whatever is made by God cannot be destroyed by man. Destruction of the caste system as contemplated by some exponents is therefore out of question. By the modes of nature, different persons are imbued with different qualities, and the scientific way of division of human society from the qualitative aspect by the caste system is quite natural. But the basic principle of such caste system is to serve the plan of Godhead, and by doing so the four orders of caste system make a headway by the cooperative method. When such spiritual progress is definitely made, the materialistic progress is automatically effected as a matter of course. That makes a real classless society. The above fourfold Gandhi movements, if done in an organized scientific way, supported by all the authentic scriptures of all religiosities, will bring in that tranquility of peace, respite of all harshness and bitterness of the present world, which we have longed for till now. I wish to organize a spiritual society for the above movements, and therefore I seek your active help and support for this. The immediate need is to start an organization center in a suitable place, preferably in New Delhi, under your direct supervision, and to train up a batch of young men for this transcendental service. If possible, to conduct a monthly magazine in this respect for propaganda work. If your honour will allow me an interview, I shall be very glad to explain the whole idea personally and let you know how the scheme can be given a practical shape for subsiding the general unrest all over the world. Such an organized movement shall be the panacea of all social maladies. The state is giving help for so many man-made purposes, and I pray that a sum of 2,000 rupees per month may be allowed for starting these Gandhian movements in organized form, and that on authentic basis, I think if your honour as a renowned practical man accepts my humble suggestion, it may be by the will of God that the whole atmosphere of the present world calamities may be mitigated altogether. My humble self had the privilege of taking this training under the lotus feet of my spiritual master, and I am confident to organize this work in a scientific way if I am helped by the state. Hoping to be excused for intruding upon your valuable time and awaiting your early reply with deep interest, with my best regards, I beg to remain. Yours faithfully, Abhay Charande. Letter to Juggannath Babu, dated March 14th, 1949. Location, Calcutta. Dear Juggannath Babu, please accept my respectful namaskar. The sacred meeting organized by you at your place yesterday will be remembered by me with great reverence, and I must thank you from the very core of my heart for giving me a chance to serve the cause of the potency of the Almighty God. I think you have inherited some transcendental talents by the good deeds of your past life, and as such you have taken your birth in the family of the Srimatam, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. God willing, you shall render tremendous transcendental service in the rest of your life, and by doing so you shall not only glorify the family in which you have taken your birth, but also the community and the country will be benefited. Yesterday evening, when we were talking at your veranda, we had some talks over the Advent Day of Lord Chaitanya, which falls today, the most auspicious Dol Yatra Purnine Day, and as such, I myself, along with some members of my family, today observing fast till the Advent moment of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just in the evening. Guru Maharaj Shastriji advised the members assembled yesterday to observe fast today, and this is being done as a matter of course on the occasion of Gaura Jayanti Day. I was so glad to hear from you that you know Lord Chaitanya as the incarnation of Godhead. Yes, he is so, and there are ample proofs of his being so in the different Shastras, such as Mahabharata, Bhagavat, Upanishads, and many other Puranyas. So on the occasion of Lord Chaitanya's 463rd Advent ceremony, I am taking this opportunity to remember about him, which will help my vrata observed today. I hope you will not mind for intruding upon your time with this statement. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Karabhajan Muni was elucidating the different incarnations of Godhead in different yugas, he said that in the Kali Yuga, the intelligent persons will worship the incarnation of Sri Krishna by the Transcendental Sankirtan movement. This incarnation of Sri Krishna will be non-blackish in the colour of his body, but will constantly chant the name of Krishna along with his many disciples, who will act as the soldiers for the deliverance of the fallen souls of the Kali Yuga. Sri Krishna Chaitanya preached as one of the Vaishnavacharyas like Ramanujacharya and others, and his mission was to establish the same theory of deliverance as was propounded by Sri Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord personally described as to the method of approaching him, his real features, his different potencies, known as the Mahamaya and the Yogamaya, his Virat appearance, his method of creation, maintenance and destruction of the material world, information of the transcendental world, which does not annihilate even after the annihilation of the material world, the living entities, souls, the process of migration of the souls, the description of the Mahatmas, their duties, and lastly, the duty of everybody after elaborate elucidation of the three modes of nature, Satya, Raja, Tama, and the different human races, work, knowledge, devotion, worship, activities under the influence of such modes of nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, a clear distinction has been made between the Asura Prakriti and Deva Prakriti, and he has vehemently deprecated the demonic or Asuric Prakriti and eulogized the Deva Prakriti. The Mahamaya, who is known as Durga, Kali, Chandi, Bhadrakali, Mohalakshmi, etc., is the embodiment of his external potency as described in the Chandi, and it is the thankless task of the Mahamaya to punish the Asuras with her all-powerful weapons in the 10 directions of the material world. She does not only create and maintain this material world, but also she annihilates it according to the direction of the Almighty God. In the Bhagavad Gita, this Mahamaya has also been described as Devi Maya, and she is so powerful that the Asuras cannot bypass her at any rate. The Asura can get remission from the stroke of the Trisula of Mohamaya when he, the Asura, surrenders himself to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. As superintendent of the material world, the Mohamaya has been described Durga as the protectress of the great Durga, or fortress of the grand universes. She gives all the necessities for our existence, but as soon as we become an Asura, like the Mohisasuras, Ravanas, Hiranyakashipus, and in later ages, like the Mussolinis, and such others, for the exploitation of the material energy, the Durga Devi at once appears herself with her dreadful trident and begins to devastate the whole existence by such tribulations as war, famine, pestilence, or sometimes annihilation of a total existence. The methods of annihilation as are invented by the human brain, such as the atomic bombs, etc., are also her creations, but the deluded asuras, who are caused to act by the modes of prakriti, the material nature, do think themselves as the originator or inventor of such weapons. In that way, a constant struggle is going on between the asuras and the prakriti, and the asuras are thus being punished in different ways, which the asuras cannot overcome by any method except by full surrender unto the Almighty God. In the Bhagavad Gita, the last instruction is to surrender fully unto him, the author of the Bhagavad Gita. But unfortunate men of demonic mentality misunderstood the teachings of Bhagavad Gita as a method of sophistry, and therefore the same personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, in the garb of a transcendental devotee, preached the same techniques of Bhagavad Gita, that is, full surrender unto the Almighty God, or his different potencies, in a demonstrative way. The method of his demonstration was also very suitable. He inaugurated the Sankirtan movement, accompanied with melodious song, which method has been found practically very effective amongst the masses. It is not possible for the masses to study the Vedanta or to undergo the difficult mystic processes, especially in the Kali Yuga, when the general people is indolent, unfortunate, short-lived, and always disturbed by physical and mental tribulations. So they, the general mass of people, are fallen in the estimation of the great saints, and as such, for them, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only hope for deliverance. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Varanasi, he was invited to a philosophical discourse by the Prakashananda Sarasvati, a great giant scholar and sannyasi of the Mayavadi or Shankara Sampradaya, and discussion was made on the Vedanta philosophy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was victorious in that discussion and converted the great sannyasi with his 60,000 followers to his cult of devotion, and established his easy method of Sankirtan movement, the most suitable method for the deliverance of the people in general. So, on the occasion of the Lord's 463rd Advent Day, I beg to suggest that in the Guru Mandal, some such preaching method as was adopted by Lord Chaitanya may also be adopted for the benefit of the general people. The Upasana of yoga system, as recommended by Shastriji, may not be suitable for the people in general, because hardly they will be able to adhere to the principles of yoga, and it may be as suggested by the Raj Guru Shastriji that in the default of such yogic method, the performer may fall ill and thus become doomed for his life. You have encouraged your milled employees by establishing a recreation club, and the amiable feelings of your employees with the benevolent proprietors, as has been exhibited in yesterday's function, may be supplemented by infusing them with spiritual inspiration by the simple method as done by Lord Chaitanya. In the last portion of his transcendental pastimes, Lord Chaitanya lived in Puridam and worshipped the Lord Juggannath. By some way or other, your mill area has been named as the Jagannath Puri, and I suggest that an actual temple of Sri Jagannathji may be erected by the Guru Mandal for the benefit of these mill workers. If they simply make melodious kirtan of Ram or Krishna, or both combined, and they are offered the prasadam of Sri Jagannath, surely they shall imbibe the spiritual tendency inherent in every human. Letter to Pujyapada Kesava Maharaj, dated March 27th, 1949. It is an extract from a 1949 letter of Śrīla Prabhupāda. The original letter was in Bengali and was reprinted along with this translation in the summer 2001 edition of Rays of the Harmonist, a magazine published by followers of His Holiness Narayan Maharaj, Bhakti Vikas Swami. Sri Gaudiya Patrika by the revered Shriyuta Abhay Charande, editor of Back to Godhead magazine. Pujyapada Kesava Maharaj, please accept my Dandavat Pranam. Yesterday I became extremely pleased to receive Sri Gaudiya Patrika, which you sent me. Although the Patrika is of medium size, its presentation is very beautiful and its paper and printing is also good. Very few printing mistakes are seen and can be considered negligible or almost nil. By this it seems that the supervision of the magazine is very well done. Your comprehensive and extensive preaching efforts always attract my heart. That you always remember me indicates the greatness of character for which you were celebrated even in your previous ashram before joining the mat. But I am so unfortunate that I am unable to render any service to you. Therefore, please forgive my offences and discrepancies out of your magnanimous nature. You amply encouraged me at the time of the first printing of my Back to Godhead magazine. Though engaged in so many activities, you blessed my poor home by placing your foot dust in it. You inspired us to remember Shripad Naraharida in the very first article of your Sri Gaudiya Patrika. We became grateful to you for this in every respect. The affectionate and sweet behaviour of Shripad Naraharida will remain illuminated in my heart forever. The pangs of separation from him are in no way less than the pangs of separation from Śrīla Prabhupāda. The articles in Sri Gaudiya Patrika are placed in proper order. You have done excellent work by starting with an article on Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana. Publishing life sketches of our previous acharyas one by one in the Patrika will be extremely beneficial for our sampradaya. I saw a proposal that your Patrika will also present articles in other languages besides Bengali. By the order of Śrīla Prabhupāda, I started Back to Godhead magazine to put forward discussions in the English language. When you will print articles in your Patrika in English, please bless me by accepting a little service from me. I have written many articles and essays in English. And I can send them at your convenience. Sri Abhay Charande, number 6, Sita Kanta Banerjee Lane, Post Office, Hatakola, Calcutta. 27th of March 1949, translated from Sri Gaudiya Patrika 1-2. Narahari Da is the affectionate address for Srila Narahari Seva Vigraha Prabhu. In Bengali, Da means elder brother. Edited from the translation reprinted in the summer 2001 edition of Rays of the Harmonist, a magazine published by followers of His Holiness Narayan Maharaj. Letter to Gandhi Memorial Fund, dated July 5th, 1949. Location, Calcutta. The Secretary, the Board of Trustees of Mahatma Gandhi Memorial National Fund, New Delhi. Dear Sir, with reference to the invitation issued by your board for suggestions for the administration of the fund, I beg to inform that Gandhiji's memorial can fittingly be perpetuated by a continued effort to keep in motion his spiritual movements. I beg to suggest most humbly to your board that Gandhiji, minus his spiritual activities, is an ordinary politician. But actually, he was a saint amongst the statesmen, and his basic principle was to overhaul the very foundation of present civilization by the novel philosophy of satyagraha and non-violence. The Congress institution is already in the waning for neglecting Gandhiji's spiritual movement, which was the main pillar of his universal popularity. By claiming the Indian state as secular, we should not sacrifice Gandhiji's spiritual movement, which is different from communal religiosity. This fact is corroborated by such personalities as Sri Aurobindo and Dr. Radhakrishnan. You may do everything for commemorating his memory living, but if you do not accelerate his spiritual movement, his memory will be soon as dead as has been the lot of other politicians. Mahatma Gandhi, although he was always busy with his political activities, never missed to attend to his daily prayer meetings in the evening. This rule he observed punctually, even a few seconds before his assassination. To give a fitting memorial to Mahatma Gandhi, we must follow and propagate this particular line of spiritual activities and must daily read a chapter from Bhagavad Gita in congregation. Bhagavad Gita is the world-recognized philosophy of Indian culture and the favorite scripture of Mahatma Gandhi. He was a great follower of this great philosophy, like other great saints, and he was therefore a great devotee of Ram and Krishna, and for this only he was raised to such exalted position of a saint amongst the statesmen during his very lifetime. The Gandhi Memorial National Fund should be utilized for training up the people in general in this line of daily prayer in different places of Gandhi memorial buildings and other similar important places. If systematic and principled direction is given to this daily prayer meetings following the footprints of Mahatmaji, then we can help all concerned in subduing their evil propensities, which are the causes of disruption in the human society at large. When spiritual instincts, which are inherent qualities in every living being, are kindled by such daily prayer meetings, it is then only the people in general develop the qualities of the gods, and the Trust Board of Mahatma Gandhi Fund should not miss this lesson of Mahatmaji's practical life. Such qualities being developed, people in general will give up the habit of imitating others, but they will live and act freely, boldly, and rightly, like Mahatma Gandhi, and that will bring real freedom of life individually or collectively. Mahatmaji started another spiritual movement known as the Temple Entry Movement, and he wanted to give this facility to everyone, irrespective caste distinction. The temple worship is another kind of spiritual cultural movement for the benefit of the ordinary class of people. He himself installed the deity of Sri Radhakrishna at Noakhali when he was there, and that is also very significant. The theistic temples all over India are actually the different centers, as are the churches and mosques all over the world. These sacred centers were meant for diffusing spiritual education, and by this process of spiritual culture, the disturbed mind could be trained up in concentration for higher duties which every human being must do. By such education and practice can help man in realizing the existence of God, without whose sanction, according to Mahatma Gandhi, not a blade of grass moves. A part of this movement is the Harijan movement. The Harijan means the God's man, or the godly man, as distinguished from the satanic devils. How a man of satanic principles can be turned into a God's man is enunciated in the Bhagavad Gita. The way of karma yoga, that is, doing everything for God's sake, should be the principles of life. The activities of the general public may not be stopped, but may diverted in the manner stated in the Bhagavad Gita. By doing so, anyone in the world can be turned into a God's man. Thus, the Harijan movement started by Mahatma Gandhi should not be taken absolutely for the benefit of the Bangis and, so to say, but it should be utilized for all who have the mentality of the Bangis, etc. By all the above process, Mahatma Gandhi wanted to establish a greater human society. His idea of a casteless society could only be given a shape under the guidance of the principles of Bhagavad Gita. There are men of different mentalities according to quality and work. There are different modes of nature. These natural modes work everywhere in the world, and different propensities develop by the psychological modes of nature. The caste system is nothing but a classification of men according to such modes of nature. It is not therefore bound up within the walls of India, but this is current all over the world, maybe under different names. This scientific and natural division of men should be accepted, and people should be given chance to become Harijan with equal facilities for all. The Bhagavad Gita gives a clear idea of doing this work, and the Gandhi Memorial Fund should be utilized mainly for this purpose. Myself, with a batch of sincere workers, are ready to take up this work, and I shall be glad to have your reaction to my above suggestions. Letter to Gita Mandir Trust, dated September 1st, 1949, location Calcutta. Secretary, Sri Gita Mandir Trust, Gita Mandir Road, Ahmedabad. Dear Sir, I am so much obliged to your kindly conveying the blessings of Reverend Swamiji 108 Sri Srimad Vidyanandji Maharaj. I am very glad to learn that your program for preaching in the foreign countries is still under consideration. I beg to submit herewith my missionary views in respect of preaching Bhagavad Gita, and I shall be glad to know the reaction of your association in respect of my views. I believe that practical solution of world unrest is lying in the transcendental message of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, as given by him lately in the Bhagavad Gita. In this sacred philosophical discourse, the Supreme Godhead declares himself as the begetting Father, who impregnates the seeds of living entities in the womb of Mother Nature, who in turn gives birth to all varieties of living entities or species. So the plain truth is that the Supreme Godhead, the Father, the nature, material, is the Mother, and all living entities are so many children of Almighty Father Godhead and the Mother Nature. The whole arrangement is just a family unit, and we should wonder as to why there is so much anomaly in this great universal family unit. The answer for this is also given in the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that there are two classes of men in the creation. One class is called the Devas, godly, and the other class is called the Asura, demonic or godless. As sons of the Almighty Father Supreme Godhead, all individual living individuals have their respective independence. One can utilize this God-gifted independence properly or improperly. When a living entity improperly uses God-gifted independence, and apply such independence for sense gratification without fulfilling the will or the plan of Godhead, he at once develops the demonic qualities in contact with the illusory energy of Godhead and becomes a full-fledged asura. But one who do not misuse the God-gifted independence and does not engage himself in the act of sense gratification, but fulfills the plan of the Godhead, continues to be a deva or godly. In this act of sense gratification, the asura children of Godhead forgets the plan of Godhead and therefore tries to exploit the state of Godhead for their own benefit, which is sometimes centralized but sometimes extended. The gods or the godly sons of Godhead do not act like this, and they are therefore distinguished from the asuras. The mother nature or the material energy of Godhead is, as she should naturally be, the most faithful mistress of Godhead. She does not tolerate the exploitative motive of the asura children of her, and for this he has to assume the role of Devamaya and takes at once her grim trident and inflicts the weapon in the very heart of the asura, although the latter is her own son. The asura is thus subjected to threefold miseries, and this is done according to the plan of Godhead. The mother nature therefore chastises her disobedient sons in order to bring them to the right path of fulfilling the plan of Godhead. This process of chastisement is necessary for the benefit of both the asuras and the gods alike. Such process re-establishes the plan of Godhead. The asuras, however, when turned to act according to the plan of Godhead, at once become a god. When the asura becomes a god, the angry mode of nature subsides. Letter to Sir, Calcutta, May 1949. Dear Sir, on the conclusion of the All-Religious Conference held at Bombay very recently, I may submit that nothing practical has come out of it for uniting the different faiths of the world. The practical solution is lying in the transcendental message of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, as given by him lately in the Bhagavad Gita. In this sacred philosophical discourse, the Supreme Godhead declares himself as the begetting Father who impregnates the seeds of living entities in the womb of Mother Nature, who in turn gives birth all varieties of living species. So the plain truth is that the Supreme Godhead is the Father, the Nature is the Supreme Mother, and all living entities, so many children of Almighty Father Godhead and the Mother Nature. The whole arrangement is therefore a family unit, and one should wonder as to why there is so much anomaly in this universal family affair. The answer for this is also given in the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that there are two classes of children in the creation of Godhead and nature. One class is called the Deva, godly, and the other class is called the Asura, demonic or godless. As sons of the Almighty Father, Supreme Godhead, all the living entities have individual independence, and when some of the children misuse the God-gifted independence for their sense gratification and not to fulfill the plan of Godhead, they develop the demonic qualities and become asuras. But those who do not misuse the God-gifted independence for sense gratification, they continue to remain as the devas. For sense gratification, the asura children of Godhead and nature forgets the plan of Godhead, and thus they begin to exploit and trouble the Mother Nature and other obedient children of nature for their own benefit, sometimes centralized and sometimes extended. Those children who do not do like this are gods themselves, distinguished from the asuras. The Mother Nature is, as she should naturally be, the most faithful mistress of Godhead, and she becomes angry for the behavior of the Asura and thus assume the role of Devamaya, generally known as the Mohakali, Durga, Bhadrakali, etc., and take at once her grim trident and inflicts the weapon in the heart of the Asura, who is also her son. The Asura thus becomes subject to threefold miseries, and this is done according to the plan of Godhead, as the mother has to chastise the disobedient son in order to make him all right. This process of chastisement is necessary for the benefit of both the Asura and the Deva sons, in order to stop disorder in the great plan of Godhead. As sons as the Asura, however, surrenders unto Godhead as the obedient son and servitor of the plan of Godhead, the Asura is turned into a Devata. The angry mode of Mother Nature at once subsides, and she appears to such godly sons as the most affectionate mother in the role of Yogamaya, commonly known as Lakshmi, Sita, and Radharani, etc. So according to Bhagavad Gita, the whole trouble of the world is due to the increase in the number of the Asura and decrease in the number of the Devas. Who is a Deva and who is a Asura is clearly defined in the Bhagavad Gita. Thus the whole problem has to be solved according to expert advices, and it is not possible to solve the world problem so easily as by holding occasional discussions by some who are already themselves under the influence of the Asuric qualities. This should be done most scientifically, which is above mistakes and illusion. As stated above, the Asura, as soon as he surrenders to Godhead, makes the whole problem solved. But unfortunately, to the threefold miseries of Mother Nature, and thus befooled by his repeated foolish activities, will not easily surrender unto Godhead due to his long forgetful relation with the Almighty Father. It is a hard job, therefore, to turn the Asura to be a Deva, but the process has been made easy by the personality of Godhead himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Mahatma Gandhiji took up this cause to begin with, but he is gone without further progress in the matter. If we are intelligent enough, we should again take up the matter more scientifically and do the job very nicely for the peace of the world. I have, according to the instruction of my spiritual master, chalked out a program of work according to Bhagavad Gita, and I wish to discuss it personally with your good self to give the plan a practical shape. Will it be convenient for you to see me for this purpose? I am prepared to go to you at my cost, at wait upon you, if so desired by you, awaiting your early reply and thanking you in anticipation, yours faithfully. Letter to Father Ramakrishna, dated December 12, 1950, location Calcutta. Shriman Ram Krishna Day, care of Day Bannernut Company, Waterloo Street, Calcutta. My dear Father Ramakrishna, my departure for Allahabad was postponed due to the failure of my proposed tenant's payment of 500 rupees. The man promised to pay me yesterday, but he said his cheque was dishonoured. Today he has again promised to pay at 12 noon, but I do not now count upon him. So either he pays or not pays. I must proceed to Allahabad tonight positively, otherwise the whole thing will be spoiled. Now, as a helpless child looks upon his father, so I look upon you in the absence of my real father. Please therefore come in the evening or tomorrow morning, inquire if I have had the balance money, 500 rupees, before going to Allahabad, and if you learn that the tenant is not with money, please try to send me further 500 rupees to my Allahabad address by TMO or letter TT and write me the news. As the son cannot repay the father, so I cannot repay the obligation I owe to you, but my sincere blessings are always upon you, because you have tried to help me in a very critical time. My life was miserable due to my family affairs, and you have come to rescue me from the plight. May God help you in all respects. With my blessings, I beg to remain yours affectionately, Abhay Charande. Letter to R. Prakash, dated June 22nd, 1951. Location, Allahabad. Shri R. Prakash, M.A., Officer in Charge for Social Upliftment and Prohibition, Department N.P. Excise, Allahabad. Dear Sir, with reference to my personal interview with Your Honour, I beg to introduce myself as an humble disciple of His Divine Grace, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj of Sridham Mayapur at Nadia, the holy birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the divine inaugurator of Sankirtan movement. In the spiritual line of disciplic succession from Sri Brahmaji, who was first transcendental student of the Vedas, down to my spiritual master as above mentioned, the Vedic culture is aimed at re-establishing the eternal relation of living entity with the absolute truth, of whom the living entities are but parts and parcels. Forgetfulness of that eternal relation is called Maya, or illusion. This illusory energy of Godhead is conducted under three modes of nature, under the name of mundane goodness, passion, and ignorance. The whole material world is the creation of the external illusory energy of Godhead, and the living entities who forget the eternal relation with Godhead are, so to say, entrapped by Maya to undergo a conditional life under the modes of nature. Out of 84 lakhs of varieties or species of life, there are only 4 lakhs varieties of human being. Out of these varieties of human being, those who can acquire the qualities of goodness out of the three modes of nature can also realize the proper self, which is not the product of material world. The Vedic culture determines the standard of social upliftment in terms of the degree of self-realization, and as such, the social division was estimated accordingly in terms of goodness, intelligence and higher learning, passion, martial spirit to lord it over the world, passion cum ignorance, the spirit of productivity, and ignorance, the spirit of passive acceptance of being controlled by the laws of material nature. According to Vedic scriptures, the present age is called Kali Yuga, and almost all human beings are now degraded to the standard of the mode of ignorance, and therefore the greater number of population are subjected to the pangs of the threefold miseries of material existence in the most horrible manner. In such rabid condition of human being, the panacea is Krishna Sankirtan, recommended in all scriptures. By this process, the forgetfulness of human being of his eternal relation with Godhead is removed altogether. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as confirmed incarnation of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, inaugurated this Sankirtan movement, and he reclaimed all conditioned souls from all ranks of life, even from animal kingdom, for being reinstated in the transcendental relation and activities of loving service to the absolute truth. Thakur Haridas, who happened to appear in the family of a Mohammedan, was one of his principal associates, and his transcendental movement embraced all varieties of people, beginning from the most erudite scholar Brahmanas to the one who came in the family of Yavana and Chandala. The speciality of his movement was that the fallen Chandala did not remain a Chandala after his initiation, but he was made to rise up to the status of Vaishnava, which is far above the status of Brahmana and other orders of life. That is the process of social upliftment, and we follow the footprints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, who were all kind enough to raise the social status of everyone concerned, irrespective of birth and occupation. Such process is not only transcendental to all sorts of mundane speculation, but is very simple and innocent. The principle is a sort of curing a disease, not only by administering proper medicine, but also by supplying proper diet at the same time. The medicine is administered through submissive oral channel as Hari Sankirtan, which means 1. To sing bhajan songs glorifying the Almighty and his pastimes. 2. To preach the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavat, Ramayana, life of such saints as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Tulsidas, etc. 3. To establish the philosophy of devotional life as against fruitful action or dry speculation of empiric philosophy, and meet the opposite elements with all logical weapons. That is, the medicine of Hari Sankirtan is administered by threefold action, namely by A. melodious songs, B. by propaganda through press, and C. by propaganda on platforms. The diet portion of the transcendental treatment consists in the distribution of prasadam, that is, in all gatherings, the audience should not only be sustained by melodious musical performances of bhajan sangat or by religious or theistic discourses, but they must be given some sort of remnants of foodstuff offered to God, as recommended in Bhagavad Gita. By this process of medical treatment, people become gradually free from the following 4 kinds of addictions of sins, namely 1. Illegitimate connection with women, 2. Habit of animal killing, 3. Addiction to intoxication habits, 4. Lure of gambling. The conditioned human beings are enwrapped in the above 4 special due to the influence of Kali Yuga, and by the transcendental treatment of Hari Sankirtan, the mirror of the heart of human being becomes cleansed of all the above mentioned dusts. As soon as the dusts are removed, the human being is able to visualize a clear conception of his real self, and thereby he becomes free from the miseries pertaining to the body and mind, pertaining to the other living being, and pertaining to the onslaughts of nature. As followers of Bhagavad Gita, we are firmly convinced that the onslaught of nature, which is constantly being inflicted upon human society, is a sort of police action by the laws of the Almighty, and as soon as we surrender unto the divine will of the Almighty, we not only become Mahatmas and saints, but also the attack of unkind nature is vanquished at once. That is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, and that is the demonstrative preaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The real life begins when we are freed from the clutches of Maya, which is nothing but a bewildered conception of materialistic life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed the face of it spiritually. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the common folk follows the leading men of society. At the present moment of democratic age, the government of the state is conducted by the leading men of society. As such, it is a good sign that the government has taken up this work of social upliftment as a right measure at a right time. And in order to give the scheme a right direction, the government may take authoritative hints from the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita. It is a common saying that example is better than precepts. The example of the leading men in the right direction will very soon be followed by the common men. Mahatma Gandhi set the example at his fag end of life, and his daily prayer meetings in the midst of gravest political occupation must be taken note of. So also in the Bhagavad Gita, the Arjuna in the gravest moment of warfare learnt the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and he changed his personal opinion in the matter of the fighting. So the present process of human thinking for material gains only has to be changed by an organized preaching work of Bhagavad Gita as done by Lord Chaitanya, not only for the benefit of the people of India, but also for all people in the world. Lord Chaitanya's way of preaching is but a practical demonstration of the way of Bhagavad Gita. No amount of dry speculation by easy-chair empiric philosophers will be able to implement the teachings of Bhagavad Gita unless we adopt the practical ways of Lord Chaitanya as above mentioned. I think that immediately an organized body of devotees may be registered with suitable memorandum and articles of association to embrace all kinds of people, and then individual members must sacrifice a portion of their income for God's sake. They should not only accept the amenities of life for nothing from the agents of God, but they must now repay the debit by some personal sacrifice. That is the way of Yajna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. If your department will give me proper encouragement, I can give to this transcendental movement with a batch of workers who are mostly dedicated life for this cause. We do not want anything as personal remuneration, because nobody can write up this transcendental transaction who will work for material gain. That is the secret of this movement. Every member and worker must learn to sacrifice for God's sake. That is the principle of this movement. The government shall only meet the initial expenses only to give of this movement, and gradually this will be self-supported by public sympathizers. I said in this connection, Sri M.S., Governor of Bihar, and had a long interview on the subject. Dr. Rajendra Prasad also has his good wishes for me, but I could not give the starting for financial difficulties. I want 10,000 rupees to give it a starting. The general program of work will be as mentioned above in terms of medical treatment by the Sankirtan movement. There is a batch of selfless worker, mostly brahmachari and sannyasi at my disposal, with whom I can give it a starting, but arrangement has to be made for training students and selfless young men to further interest of the work. I am confident that many self-sacrificing young men will join us as soon as we begin the work. We have to work this scheme from village to village and town to town, which we will have to develop by a gradual process. There are lakhs and lakhs of temples all over India, and these centres have to be utilised as local preaching centres. Members are to be recruited from all sections of people, and I am sure when actual work is begun, there will be no dearth of financial help. To begin with, we can utilise the Gandhi memorial centres all over the country for organising this Sankirtan movement, and if we do the work properly, government may recommend the Gandhi Memorial Fund for helping this movement. I am already in negotiation with an American federation, and if proper work is done, such foreign federation will also help us. The thing is, nowadays, nobody is blind to any practical work. So as soon as people will find in it a practical utility, surely they will come and join with men and money. I wish that you may recommend this scheme of work to your government, and the financial help may be awarded to the Board of Governors, made according to the memorandum and articles of association, and I shall work for the association throughout my life, as ordered by my spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj. Exhibition. 1. Back to Godhead. 2. Guru's visit. 3. Rajendra Prasad's letter. 4. Education Minister's letter. 5. 2. 6. Memorandum of Association. 7. Magazines, etc. Letter to Mr. Bailey, dated September 14th, 1951. Location, Allahabad. Mr. Daniel Bailey, Information Officer, American Reporter, 54 Queensway, New Delhi. Dear Mr. Bailey, I am in due receipt of your kind letter number AR2295 of the 7th instant, and I thank you very much for the same. You have written to say that the United States and the American Reporter are keenly interested in bringing together the East and the West closer on a philosophical and religious basis, as well as economical and political. Certainly, this attempt is not only a laudable thing, but also a stepping stone towards the ultimate self-realization. When we speak of philosophy, it is something higher than the attempt of combining the East and the West. The whole cosmic situation is a complete unit, and unless an attempt genuine is made for harmonizing the whole disturbed system, and partial attempt on our part, however large in magnitude, will fail to approach the ultimate goal. Sages of India realized this by a perfect deductive process which descends on human consciousness by the transcendental, unbroken chain of disciplic succession, that material civilization is a gigantic temporary demonstration of a rabid process of sense gratification. In that mode of civilization, the sense organs are given unrestricted liberty to gratify ever-increasing desires, and the whole show of cultural advancement in science, art, education, trade, industry, economics, and politics is only varied activities of the sense organs. While I appreciate contribution by Swami Nikhilananda of Ramakrishna Mission in New York towards India-American relation, a way to world peace, it will not be out of place to mention that comparative study and philosophical ideas expressed by different religious heads will not only bring large contributions to the said, but will also give the public at large a conviction of the Bhagavad Gita. Smoke emanates from the fire under certain condition, but it is a disturbing condition of the fire. We need the fire and not the smoke. The present smoky, materialistic or sensuous civilization has to be kindled into the fire of reality or spiritualism. It is neither difficult nor impossible, and is much more simpler than any other method. It is just a simple process of fanning the fire in order to get rid of the disturbing smoke. Such fanning process is eternally the same, and the one and the empiric speculators have nothing to invent now in it. The great philosophy of Bhagavad Gita is the authoritative book to guide us in this respect. We have nothing to drag in it by forcing empiric interpretations. Let it be understood as it is, because it is just like the sun. The sun does not require to be helped by other light, so there is no need of interpreting Bhagavad Gita by any indirect meaning. Let us understand that Kurukshetra is Kurukshetra, and it is still a sacred place of Hindu pilgrimage. The Pandavas are the sons of Pandu, and it is stated in the history of Mahabharata. The Pandavas and the Kurus met at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita was told by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. I wish that the American people may try to understand Bhagavad Gita in terms of its direct meaning. Let it not be unnecessarily misunderstood by the empiric speculative method for making a show of the vanity of so-called learning without any living experience. Such academic erudition has nothing to do with living reality. I wish to present an analytical study of Bhagavad Gita as it is. If your people can grasp the direct meaning of Bhagavad Gita, it will be possible for us all to understand the basic principle of cosmic harmony. When that is done, we shall know then that all adjustment of our existence is not only peaceful, but an eternal bliss distinguished from the ephemeral sensual satisfaction. We shall then only know that here is world where there is no struggle for existence, and every living entity, never mind what it is fit to exist. Thanking you in anticipation. Yours truly, Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta. Letter to Mr. Bailey, dated October 2nd, 1951, location Allahabad. Mr. Daniel Bailey, Information Officer, American Reporter, 54 Queens Road, New Delhi. Dear Mr. Bailey, I am in due receipt of your letter number AR 2732 of the 26th ultimo, and I am very glad to note your frankness to admit that you cannot go so far at present to disseminate the basic principles of Indian philosophies. Indian philosophies mean generally the Shad Darshan, or the 6 different schools of philosophers, namely 1. the Mimamsa, 2. Sankhya, 3. Nyaya, 4. Mayavad, 5. Patanjal, and 6. the Vedanta. The last named Vedanta Darshan was compiled by Sri Vyas after a thorough refutation of all other 5 darshans, and therefore Vedanta is accepted by all Indian scholars, and nobody is recognized as bona fide who has no interpretation of these Vedanta Darshan. The Western philosophers, mostly of the Sankhya school, have less acquaintance with the Vedanta Darshan, and philosophers like Kant, Mill, Aristotle, or Schopenhauer, etc., all belong to either of the above 5 darshans except Vedanta, because limited human thinking power cannot go beyond that stage. But Vedanta Darshan is far beyond the limited mental speculation of the human brain conditioned by material nature. Unfortunately, Shankara, who belonged to the Mayavad school, made a misinterpretation of the Vedanta for his own purpose to convert the Buddhists in India. The Ramakrishna mission, although it does not come out of the above 6 schools of philosophers, generally they prefer to call themselves as Shankarites, or belonging to the Mayavad school. Interpretations of Vedanta made by them are neither Mayavad nor Sattvata. They have their own interpretation, different from the Vyas school of philosophers. Other acharyas, such as Ramanuja, Madhva, etc., and lately Sri Chaitanya, all belong to the original Vedantist school by direct disciplic succession. According to these acharyas, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are, in their original stand, the real commentaries of the Vedanta Sutras. The Mayavadins, who do not actually belong to the Vedanta school, have overcast a cloud unnecessarily over the Bhagavad Gita, and therefore common people are misled by them. In other words, they have no entrance in the Vedanta Darshan, so to say. It is not at all necessary that an ailing person shall oblige all classes of physicians for the sake of their being medical practitioners only. The patient must be treated by such physician only who is able to cure him. Philosophical ways are practical, and it is no use simply by indulging in speculation without any practical result, just like to keep a cow without any milk. We must always seek a practical value from philosophy for the benefit of all. The mission with which you have started your service inspired me to help you as far as possible, and I thought it fit to inform you that your mission can be well guided by the practical philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. If you do not wish to have it, that is a different question. If you put up a program acceptable to one and all, there is no necessity of patronizing a particular ism. A common formula can be of practical use both for India or others. As such, you can have practical solutions of all problems, such as social, religious, cultural, political, economic, as well as agricultural and industrial, from the Bhagavad Gita. It is possible only simply by assimilating it by direct perception. It is meant for all living being. Indirect perception will mislead far away from the truth, and I am afraid many such indirect misinterpretations in a speculative mood by various commentators have done more harm than good to the humanity in general. In all humility, I beg to differ with you that all men should be free to make their choices and interpretations in all things. Less intelligent men are always guided by those who are superior in knowledge in all spheres of life. This principle is applicable everywhere, but the guidance must be right and bona fide. But it depends always on the sweet will of the guided to accept this principle or reject it. I am glad that you have a copy of Gita with you. Apart from the Swamiji's learned interpretations, you can see for yourself what is written in the 18th chapter, 67th shloka. Empiric philosophers may call it a sophistry, but is a fact substantiated after all human reasoning offered by Arjuna. It is clearly said here that one should follow Sri Krishna alone. If anybody makes his choice not to follow him, surely he will have relative result. Bhagavad Gita is mostly read by almost all classes of people of the world, but unfortunately they are accepted in an independent choice of indirect interpretation. That is a deviation, and for that reason only they cannot derive the direct benefit. My sincere thanks are due to you for the last portion of your letter under reply. Yours sincerely, A.C. Bhaktivedanta. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Letter to Jawaharlal Nehru, dated January 20th, 1952. Location, Allahabad. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, President, All India National Congress Working Committee, New Delhi. Dear Panditji, your article heading as "Let us be true to one another," published in the A.B. Patrika, Allahabad edition, D 30-12-51, attracted my attention, and I read it over and over again. This article contains the nucleus of future activities of the human society in the spiritual realm, and I have read in your statement about your deep thought on the onward march of human civilization. You have rightly said the following words in this connection, viz. So we search for new ways, new aspects of the truth more in harmony with our environment, and we question each other and debate and quarrel and evolve any number of isms and philosophies. As in the days of Socrates, we live in an age of questioning, but the questioning is not confined to a city like Athens, it is worldwide. There are two ways of answering such questions. I mean the deductive way and inductive way. Mortality of man is established by either of the above ways. In deductive way, we take it for granted from reliable source. Man is mortal. But in the inductive way, we approach the same truth by our poor reasoning of observation and experiment. By observation, we can see that Gandhi dies, Fotilal dies, C.R. Das dies, Patel dies, and therefore we conclude that man dies, or man is mortal. Then again, in the same deductive way, when we reason that man is mortal and find that Jawaharlal is a man, and thus conclude that Jawaharlal is mortal. Truth means absolute truth. Relative truth is conditional, and when the conditions fail, the relative truth disappears. But absolute truth does not exist on conditions. It is above all conditions. So when we speak of truth, we may take it for the absolute truth. And when we speak of approaching the truth by new ways, we may take it for granted what we want to approach the truth by the inductive way. Absolute truth is described in the Vedas as Satyam Param Dhimahi, the summum bonum. And from this absolute truth, everything emanates. Janmadhyasya yataha. This absolute truth is described in the Vedic literatures as Sanatan, or eternal. And the philosophy or science which deals in such eternal subjects is described as Sanatan Dharma. Therefore, we have first to find out the eternal absolute truth by some new ways, and then we have to find out the new aspects of absolute truth in harmony with our present environment. The present environment is undoubtedly different from the old, and if we compare the present with the old, we can very easily discover that 1. People in the present age are generally short-living, the average duration of life being 30 years or so. 2. They are generally not very simple. Almost every man is designing and crooked. 3. They have no scope for high thinking because they are perplexed with different relative truths. 4. Unfortunate as they are in this age, their problems remain unsolved for the whole life, even though they are tackled by their leaders. They make the best effort to solve a problem, but unfortunately the same becomes more acute and stringent. 5. And above all, people in this age are always distressed by famine, scarcity, griefs, and diseases in an increasing ratio. In the old days, life was not so much conditional and encumbered. The simple problems were then the problems of bread, clothing, and shelter, which was solved by the simplest process. By agriculture, they used to solve the bread, clothing, and shelter problems, and industrialization was unknown to them. Thus, they had no idea of living in big palatial buildings at the cost of sacrificing the boon of humanity. They were satisfied to live in the cottages, and yet they were perfectly intelligent. Even the famous Chanakya Pandit, who was the Prime Minister of India during the reign of Chandragupta, used to live in a cottage and draw no salary from the state. Such simple habits did not deteriorate his high intelligence and dignity, and as such he had compiled many useful literatures which are still read by millions for social and political guidance. Thus, the simplicity of Brahminical culture was an ideal to the subordinate others of the society, and in the deductive way, the subordinate orders, namely the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, would follow the instruction of the cultured Brahmin. Such ways of approaching the truth is always simple, plain, and perhaps the most perfect. The cultured Brahmin order of the society would declare that there is God or Brahman, and the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and the Shudras, who were less cultured than the Brahmins, would follow the latter faithfully, call it blindly or otherwise. By such faithfully following, the subordinate classes would be able to save much time in the matter of arguing or reasoning for the existence of God at all, and still they would not be faithless. In the old days, even a politician Brahmin like Chanakya would say that Vedvatam cha nripatam cha naiva tulaya kadachana, swadesha pujyate raja, vidvar sarvatra pujyato. A really cultured, learned fellow is far above a politician, because a politician is honoured by the votes of his countrymen, while a cultured and learned fellow is honoured everywhere all over the world. So we say that Ravindranath and Gandhi were never dependent for the votes of their countrymen, but they were honoured all over the world for their cultural contribution. The same Chanakya Pandit defined the standard of learning. The standard of learning had to be testified by its result, and not by the manner of university degrees. He said that one who looks upon all women, except one's married wife, as mothers, all others' wealth as the pebbles on the street, and all living being as one's own self, is really learned fellow. He never stressed on the point of standard of how many grammars, rhetorics, or other books of knowledge one might have gone through, or how many doctorates of different universities one might have been decorated with. At the present moment, we know very well that a few men look upon other women, besides one's married wife, as mothers. Very few men will look upon others' wealth as pebbles on the street, and very few men will try to behave with other living beings as one wants to be treated oneself. The sages of old discovered it by spiritual culture that man's energy should be utilized only for spiritual realization. Not to speak of Lord Sri Krishna, who spoke the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita near about 5,000 years ago. We know that within 2,000 years of human history, no sages, including Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, Lord Buddha, Acharya Shankara, Madhya, Ramanuja, or even Lord Chaitanya, gave any importance to materialistic way of living. Material necessities were always subordinate to the spiritual realization. They saw it that the bread problem, clothing problem, and shelter problem are never solved by material activities, because in the law of nature, the elephant is given the whole jungle to eat, and the little ant is given a grain of sugar to solve their respective bread problems. And yet, the animals remain hungry. It is not the question of a jungle or a grain of sugar that can solve our bread problem, but it is the question of real food that can quench the hunger of human being and revitalize him to proper life. Human being, therefore, should not be encouraged to satisfy his unsatiated hunger like the giant elephant or the little ant, but he should be trained up otherwise, which shall provide for his real food. The wonderful temples, the mosques, and the cathedrals of past centuries were built up to give them the real food, and were not built up by blind or unquestioning faith. They were built up on full faith and reasoning, which were based on the deductive process. The Vedas, the Bible, or the Quran would ask the human being to make proper use of his conserved energy in the transcendental service of God, and unsophisticated men in the old days would follow such instruction unhesitatingly for realizing the absolute truth. Such temples, mosques, were therefore centers of high culture to provide real food to human consciousness. But in the present age, in the absence of such high culture, there is hardly any difference between the temples, mosques, and cathedrals and the high commercial buildings in a busy city. If the culture is to be revived, it is quite possible to do it even in your parliamentary buildings in New Delhi or in the commercial buildings of New York. As the Socratesian ways of reasoning is not bound up within the walls of Athens, so also the Brahminical culture is not bound up within the walls of India. You can find out the 9 prescribed qualifications of a Brahmin, the 7 qualifications of Kshatriyas, the 3 qualifications of Vaishya, and the 1 qualification of a Shudra worldwide. You can therefore pick up Brahmins and other orders of society all the world over. Gandhiji, although born in a Vaishya family, possessed almost all the 9 qualifications of a Brahmin, and if possible, we can find out such Brahman in other parts of the world. One Brahman Gandhi congressman is quite competent to guide its principle, whereas 1,000 other Shudra congressmen can only help it to break it up into pieces. Thus, if we want to approach the absolute truth by new ways in harmony with present environment, we should try to be true to one another in the qualified way of Brahminical culture. Only a dozen of real qualified Brahmins from all parts of the world should combine to guide the principles of the Kshatriyas, the Vaishya and the Shudras all over the world. The Socratesian way of reasoning should be fully utilized, because that makes the only difference between a human being and a beast. There is ample scope for this new way of approaching the absolute truth, and that will only solve the acute, distressing world problem. If there is scarcity of such qualified Brahmins, which I honestly think there is, we should combine to evolve such Brahminical culture not by blind faith, but by sound reasoning and questioning. But all the same, we must be sincere and thorough in our attempt. As an humble disciple of Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, I wish to remain always true to you and everyone. And if you sincerely be true to your forefather, I mean the Brahminical culture, you have the strength and capacity to save the world by presenting the Brahminical culture once again for consummation of the distressed world. In such acts of your broadness of mind, I am always at your service, awaiting your reply with interest. Yours sincerely. Letter to Ramakrishna, dated September 26, 1952, location Allahabad. My dear Ramakrishna, in reply to Srimati Sulakshmana's letter, I am sending herewith one letter for her, which may be delivered to her. I came here to improve my lot, but I see that my bad luck is impossible to be improved. For the last 2 years approximately, I have met expenses from this business to the extent of 600 rupees a month. Calcutta, Allahabad, Ranchi High Court, and Rai journey. Altogether, 5 different items of expenses have been so far met. But all of a sudden, my sister opponent firms have designed to remove me from this place. By their trick, the drug controller has suspended my business for the last 1.5 months, with the result that about 1,000 rupees has been locked up and sealed, and I have been put to shame by my servants. I require immediately 300 rupees to meet the establishment charges, without which I am much humiliated. I am trying my level best to reopen the business, but still it will take minimum 1 week to come to the normal condition. I am awfully stranded and put to much shame. Will you kindly help me, as you have done so many times? As a son has no shame to ask his father, so I feel no shame for it, because there is no other help at the present moment. If you can, please do send me TMO for 300 rupees and save my prestige and honour. I expect to return you this sum after a fortnight. As soon as my business is opened, I shall at once get back 1,000 rupees. May God bless you. Yours affectionately, Father-in-law. NB, I shall expect your TMO by Monday next or latest Tuesday next. ACD. Letter to Mr. Bailey, dated July 7th, 1953, location Allahabad. True copy of the letter published in the AB Patrika on 7/7/53 at Allahabad under the heading Hindu Missionaries. Sir, with reference to the letter of Sri Satish Ashtana published in your columns of the 2nd instant, I have the honor to inform all concerned through your esteemed paper that an association for missionary activities under the name and style the League of Devotees has already been established recently with the same aims and objects as suggested by Sri Ashtana and Sri Sitaram. The registered office of the above league is situated at the big spacious building Bharati Bhavan at Sipri Road, Jhansi. Gentlemen interested in such cultural activities may ask from the Founder Secretary the prospectus of the mission, in Hindi or in English, with details of the institution. The matter is so important that it cannot be now set aside to be managed by the sadhus and sannyasins only, but it must be taken care of by all responsible men. The word Hindu is somewhat foreign according to India's spiritual or cultural conception. The exact word used for this purpose is Sanatanam, or the eternal. Sri Bhagavad Gita gives us the message that Sanatan religion is meant not only for the Hindus, the Indians, or all the humanity at large, but also for all living beings on earth. It is wrong to interpret that Vedic religion, commonly known as Hinduism, is not proselytistic. The proselytizing method of Bhagavad Gita is to turn the face of all mundaners towards the transcendental service of the Absolute Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, which process can only save them, the mundaners, from all calamities, past, present and future. The present godless civilization has to be remolded into godly one, and for this purpose all missionaries, Hindu or non-Hindu, who have regard for scientific proselytizing method may join this League of Devotees. Dear Mr. Bailey, I am in due receipt of your kind letter NR-AR 2295 of the 7th instant, and I thank you very much for the same. You have written to say that the United States and the American reporter are keenly interested in bringing together the East and the West closer together on a philosophical and religious basis, as well as economic, agricultural and political. Certainly this attempt is not only laudable but also a stepping stone towards the ultimate self-realization. When we speak of philosophy, it is something higher than the attempt of combining the East and West. The whole cosmic situation is a complete whole, and unless an attempt genuine is made for harmonizing the whole system, any partial attempt on our part, however large in magnitude, will fail to approach the ultimate goal. Sages of India realized it by a perfect deductive process which descends on human consciousness by a transcendental chain of unbroken bona fide disciplic succession, that material civilization is a temporary gigantic demonstration of a rabid process of sense gratification. The sense organs are given uncertain liberty to gratify their desires, and the whole show of science, education, trade, industry, economy and politics are but different spheres of activities in the realm of gratifying the senses. Above these senses or sense organs is a demetric force which is subtler than the sense organs and is known as the mind, but acts in terms of thinking, feeling and willing. The empiric philosophers, speculating on an imperfect process of induction, generally indulge intellectual feats without knowing that behind the mind there is human intelligence which is able to analyze the process of psychology, but is unable to find out the ultimate force or spirit behind their intelligence. So the spirit that conducts even intelligence is the primeval root of everything, and there is an adjustment of spirit and matter as much as there is an adjustment of smoke and fire. The smoke is a conditional state of fire, and therefore smoke is nothing but fire, and yet we cannot compare smoke and fire on the same platform. Smoke emanates from fire, but it is disturbing condition of fire. We need fire and not the smoke. The present smoky material or sensual civilization has to be kindled into the fire of reality or spiritual civilization. It is neither difficult nor impossible. It is just a simple process of fanning the fire in order to get rid of the disturbing smoke. The fanning process is eternally the same and one, and the empiric speculators have nothing to invent new in it. It must be actually a fanning in spiritualized process and nothing else. The great philosophy of Bhagavad Gita is the authoritative book to guide us in this respect. We have nothing to drag in it by foreign empiric interpretation. Let it be understood as it is, because it is just like the sun. The sun does not require to be helped by the light. So there is no need of understanding Bhagavad Gita by indirect interpretation. Kurukshetra is Kurukshetra. Dharmakshetra is Dharmakshetra. The Pandavas are Pandavas, or the sons of Pandu, and nobody else. The Pandavas and Kauravas not actually at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita was told by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. I wish that your people may try to understand Bhagavad Gita in terms of its direct meaning. Let it not be unnecessarily misunderstood by the empiric speculative method, for making others of the vanity of so-called learning without any living experience. Such academic erudity has nothing to do with the living reality. I shall try to present an analytical study of Bhagavad Gita through the pages of your American reporter in order to help the American people to understand Bhagavad Gita as it is. If your people can grasp the direct meaning of Bhagavad Gita, it will be possible for us all to know the basic principle of cosmic harmony. When that is done, we shall know that all maladjustment of our existence is not only peaceful, but an eternal bliss distinguished from the ephemeral, temporary, sensual satisfaction. We shall then only know that here is a world where there is no struggle for existence, and every living entity, never mind what it is, either a man or a beast, is fit to exist. The enclosed piece of article is the first of a series of articles on the above subject to understand Bhagavad Gita by its direct meaning. Letter to Brothers, dated January 1st, 1955. Location, Allahabad. First form, number 1. The circular letter addressing as Dear Brother, to be sent along with the prospectus by book post. Second letter on receipt of the reply of the first circular letter for inner members who are willing to live with us for spiritual upliftment. Dear brothers, I am very much glad that you are willing to live with us. As already informed, we have no restriction for admitting inner members, so far nationality, caste and creed are concerned. But the inner members will have to abide by the following rules, which are necessary as basic principles for spiritual upliftment. The inner members will not have 1. Illegitimate connection with women. 2. He shall not be addicted to intoxicating habit. No member shall be allowed to smoke, chewing Patel, drink tea, etc. inside the house. 3. He must be satisfied with prasadam, which will be served to him, and must be strictly vegetarian. No inner member shall be allowed to eat fish, meat, eggs, onions, etc. 4. The inner member shall not indulge in unnecessary indoor or outdoor games, sporting or gambling habit. The nominal boarding charges is 25 rupees. No charges for lodging. 5. The inner member must enroll himself as regular member in the A, B or C category. Members with voting power will have to pay the scheduled monthly subscriptions. The lowest rate of subscription is 10 rupees per month. Anyone unable to pay the membership fee may apply for free membership or lesser subscription for consideration of the board of executive members. The executive committee can decide on it. 6. The inner member is requested to rise early in the morning before sunrise and finish his morning duties for inner and make cleanliness. And after finishing such duties, he will have to attend to Mangalartrik service to be held in the temple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Govinda. 7. The inner members will be served with prasadam after Mangalartrik, mostly some milk preparation. 8. After partaking the Mangalartrik prasadam, he shall attend the morning class of Path Kirtan, in which chanting of the holy name of God along with musical instruments will be sung before and after reading of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, etc. This function will continue from 6 to 8 in the morning. 9. After this, a cup of milk along with other foodstuff will be served to the inner members as breakfast. 10. After breakfast, the member can devote himself for studying book in this connection, which will be supplied to him by the League. 11. At 11 noon, the Bhogarati service will be done in the temple, and the members will be requested to attend this ceremony after bath. 12. Just after Bhogarati function, the members will be served with prasadam, which shall consist of the following items: 1. Rice. 2. Dal. 3. Chapatis with ghee. 4. 2 curry. 5. Bija. 6. Khichuris. 7. 8. Sauces. 9. Pampar. 10. Miscellaneous. 13. After taking prasadam in the noon, the member may take rest from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. 14. At 3 in the afternoon, there will again Baikali ceremony in the temple, which the members will be requested to attend. And again at the end of the Baikali ceremony, at about 4, the members shall be served with prasadam, consisting of a cup of milk and some fruits. 15. The member shall then attend the Path Kirtan class from 5 to 7 in the evening, as is done in the morning. 16. From 7 to 8 p.m. there will be Sandhya Artrik ceremony in the temple, and the members will be requested to attend to this. 17. At 9 in the night there will be again Bhogarati ceremony, which members will be requested to attend. After this, prasadam will be served, consisting of chapatis or rice with dal, curries, and some milk preparation. 17. At 9 in the night there will be again Bhogarati ceremony, which members will be requested to attend. After this, prasadam will be served, consisting of chapatis or rice with dal, curries, and some milk preparation at the end. 18. From 10 to 4 at night the members shall take rest for the night. 19. After 6 months of living, or earlier as the case may be, the members will be expected to be initiated in the devotional service of theism or Vaishnavism. 20. For such initiation, the member will have to accept Diksha according to the rules of the Goswamis and just become a qualified Brahmin. 21. Initiated members shall observe the Ekadashi Brata twice in a month, and on that day he will be allowed to take only fruits and none of the cereals. 22. Initiated members shall adhere his body with the marks of Vaishnavism. 23. He shall chant the holy name of God systematically and regularly according to the rules of the Goswamis. 24. He shall try to worship in the temple after learning the art from another co-worker. The initiated member is converted and accepted as bona fide Brahmin, and thus he can enter the temple. 25. He may enhance his spiritual education, taking lessons from Gita, Bhagavat, science of devotion, Lord Chaitanya, etc., and prepare for the examination of Bhakti Shastra, Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti Vedanta, etc. 26. If he desires to be a preacher, he will be trained up in that way and will be given the titles of according to preaching capacity. Letter to Registrar of Joint Stock Companies, dated February 4th, 1955, location Allahabad. The Registrar of Joint Stock Companies, Uttar Pradesh, Lucknow. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Dear Sir, with reference to my interview with Your Honour on the 3rd instant regarding registration of the Memorandum of Association and Rules and Regulations of the League of Devotees, alias Sarvabhauma Bhagavat Samaj, I beg to inform you that I have deposited the fee 50 rupees, rupees 50 only, in the Imperial Bank of India Limited, Lucknow, and beg to hand you the following as advised by you. 1. The Memorandum of Association clearly signed by the present members of the League of Devotees. 2. The Rules and Regulations duly signed by the present members of the League of Devotees. 3. Deposit Chalan number 81D433 for 50 rupees. Kindly acknowledge receipt of the above and do the needful at your earliest convenience. All correspondence in this regard may be addressed to the undersigned in his present address as above mentioned. Thanking you in anticipation. Yours faithfully, A.C. Bhaktivedanta. Enclosures 3. Letter to Goswami Maharaj, dated September 16th, 1955, location New Delhi. My dear Shripad Goswami Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. I am in due receipt of your kind letter dated the 14th instant, and I have noted the contents very carefully. I am glad that you have come back to Calcutta from the inundated area of Orissa, and am more glad to learn that Your Holiness is trying to return to Delhi for creating a peaceful atmosphere here. You will be glad to learn that day before yesterday morning at about 9 o'clock, Sri N.C. Chatterjee, the big advocate and president of the Hindu Mahasabha, came to our Sangha with his secretary unexpectedly. It happened that about a fortnight past we had a Path Kirtan function at his residence at 7B Pusha Road, and in that evening we had some talk about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He appeared to be well versed with the matter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. I therefore invited him to come to our Sangha, and he replied that he would try. After a week I reminded him again by letter, and in response to my letter he came here all of a sudden. Practically all the members were out at that time, and myself along with 2 other brahmachari and Vrindavan received him. He was acquainted with our activities and was offered prasadam, which he accepted and took it with him. I have asked him to come again when Your Holiness come back. Regarding your instruction for Shripad Akanchana Maharaj, I have intimated him about it, and it is learnt that he has asked Shripad Ban Bihariji to bring along with him the old receipts when he is coming to Delhi. Your note for Sriman Keshavanandaji has also been noted by him. All the press matters for September issue have been duly handed over to the Cawnpore Art Press, but till now we have not got any proof from them. I sent for it this morning, and they have promised to deliver it from tomorrow. It is learnt from Keshavanandaji that they have promised to finish the task by the 25th of this month. I have noted your remark about the cover of the monthly, and I have already suggested so many things to Shripad Ramananda Prabhu for appraisal. Shripad Ramananda Prabhu and many others along with me want to see the paper just fit for the foreign countries. In that case, we must get it printed on nice paper in a very good, up-to-date press. It all depends on the expenditure that we are able to meet, but the ideal must be for its many-sided desirable improvements. When you come back, we shall see to it, because in your absence it is not also possible to change the press. When we cannot change the press immediately, it is useless to change the paper or the cover. The suggestion made by some friend that the paper may be printed from Calcutta is all right, but my suggestion is that either in Calcutta or in Delhi, we must have our own press with good equipments so that we may be able to broadcast the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all the important languages, especially in Hindi and in English. Hindi is meant for all India propaganda, while English is meant for worldwide propaganda. This day we have received 2 copies of Gaudiya Darshan from Sripad Sridhar Maharaj's mat at Navadvip. The starting is very good, and I have quite appreciated the endeavour of Sridhar Maharaj, even though very late. It is better late than never. He has a very good assistant in the person of young Govinda Maharaj, and I think it is a good attempt. Regarding typewriter machine, I understand that Sripad Ramananda Prabhu is unwilling to part with it. Of course, in his head office of the institution, he requires one for so many correspondences. But here also, in the office of Sri Sajjanatoshani Patrika, which purely in English, one machine is absolutely needed. Here all the presses do want typewritten copies, so that the matter may be promptly executed. Some of the presses are ready to finish the whole printing work within 4 or 5 days if the whole matter is given in distinct typewritten papers. This machine was hired, and I have already informed you about it. We have in the meantime typewritten 3 copies of all the addresses, so that for 3 months we can simply paste the addresses on the covering wrapper without taking any trouble of clerical job. Anyway, we shall see to it when you come back, if possible, with the machine. Yours affectionately, A.C. Bhaktivedanta. Letter to Govinda Maharaj, dated September 16th, 1955. Location, New Delhi. His Holiness Shripad Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, Kolar Gunj, Post Office Navadvip, District Nadia, West Bengal. My dear Shripad Govinda Maharaj, this morning I received 2 copies of your Gaudiya Darshan, and I was very glad to see its appearance. When I was at Mathura, I heard from Sripad Kesava Maharaj, and so also I heard it from Sripad Goswami Maharaj, that His Holiness Sripad Sridhar Maharaj is going to publish Gaudiya Darshan, and today I find it actually in hand. I cannot but offer my congratulations to your Holiness, because I know if anything has been done, it is due to your energy. I can understand now why Sripad Sridhar Maharaj bestowed all his mercy upon you. He rightly found in you some dormant energy for future action, and we can see that it is now fructifying duly. I have read with great interest your article, especially the one which is named as Chalar Pate. It is not only very amusing but also instructive. Simple, dry, philosophical arguments will not be appealing nowadays to people in general. They will like to read such articles as written by you with greater relish. In this article I can find out that you have really some parts, and in time you can become a great transcendental humorist in the art of journalism. You have complete mercy of your Divine Master, and you can depend on his blessings for your future improvement. I sincerely wish you all success. Undoubtedly, you are now in the highest order of Varnashram Dharma, but we cannot forget that you belong to the category of our affectionate sons. We cannot forget all such filial love for you, and when we see that you are improving in all respects, it gladdens our heart. I have just written a letter to Sripad Goswami Maharaj, and in that letter the following statements have been carried to him. The wordings are as follows. This day we have received 2 copies of Gaudiya Darshan from Shripad Sridhar Maharaj's mat at Navadvip. The starting is very good, and I have quite appreciated the endeavour of Shripad Maharaj, although very late. It is better late than never. He has a very good assistant in the person of young Govinda Maharaj, and I think it is a good attempt. Your poem on Vasita is also good. All these show that you have good tact, and may God help you more and more. Shripad Sridhar Maharaj's article on Gaudiya Darshan is philosophical, and if he so desires, I can get it translated into English by myself and get it published in the Sri Sajjanatoshani Patrika. I understand that Shripad is now out on pilgrimage, and you can let me know his opinion when he comes back, or earlier according to your convenience. Hope you are well. Vrindavan wanted to live with me, and so he has come here from Calcutta just a few days before. Where is Madhusudana Maharaj? Please convey my dandavats to all the Vaishnavas. With my regards for you all, yours affectionately, A.C. Bhaktivedanta. Letter to Goswami Maharaj, dated September 19th, 1955, location New Delhi. My dear Shripad Goswami Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. I hope in the meantime you have received my last letter. This day I had been to the office of the Director of Postal Service along with our friend Sri Horendra Nath Shom and Shripad Akinchana Maharaj. Some of the would-be customers whose addresses were given for registration denied to be our paid subscribers, and this was against the registration certificate. We had some talks with the assistant director, who was a perfect gentleman. Heron Babu being one of them, he told that he is also a customer. When he wrote in black and white his version, the director agreed to register it, and I am glad to inform you this day our Sri Sajjanatoshani Patrik is registered in the postal department as a monthly newspaper under registration number D797. Just on the way, I dropped in at the Kapoor Art Press and I gave him the number for printing on the cover. Our posting date has been fixed up on the 26th and 27th instant. I do not know if the press will be able to finish the job by that date. I have already given him the pressure, and I shall see that it is duly published by the above date and posted. If not, then we will have to make another application for changing the date of posting. I understand that you have written to Shripad Akinchana Maharaj to print the paper 500 only for September. In this connection, I asked the press if they will reduce the charges for this less number of printing. He said that the charges will be the same. I think that we should print it as usual, that is 1,000. Akinchana Maharaj has secured contribution of 3 reams of paper, £24, and the postal charges will be only a quarter of the last month, or will be only 1/4 of the last month. So why, for the matter of saving some papers, we shall not print the full number? In my opinion, we should print more than 1,000 copies every month and distribute them in large scale. I think you will reconsider the matter and let me know your further opinion. The printing will begin from day after tomorrow, and you will kindly reply this just on receipt of it. I hope by the time this letter reaches you, you have had returned from Navadvip. Hope you are well. Yours affectionately, A.C. Bhaktivedanta.